Promised Messiah, the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, there were some individuals who raised the question as to what succession meant and how would that be encapsulated. And there was a feeling that by them, certainly these few individuals, that it should be constituted in the form of an anjuman, a committee. However, based on this view, and notwithstanding the fact that these individuals actually did swear allegiance at the hand of the first caliph within Ahmadiyyat, Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib, they nevertheless still chose to establish themselves separately in Lahore. So I hope, viewers, that just gives you a context of the question we have received from Mahmood Ahmad Sahib. And he writes this, he wishes to extend a very warm Assalamu alaikum to all the whole panel. And he actually also is enjoying the program. Jazakallah, Mahmood Sahib, for your question and your comments. But he reverts to a particular article he saw, which was actually published by the Ahmadiyya Anjuman Nishat-e-Islam, the group of individuals I've referred to, which quotes the following passage from the Promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's book, The Will. And I will just quote a few lines from here, where he says, and I quote, Since it is the way of God from times immemorial that God Almighty shows two manifestations so that two false joys of the opponents be put to an end, it is not possible now that God should relinquish his sunnah of old. So do not grieve over what I have said to you, and nor your heart should be distressed. For it is essential for you to witness the second manifestation also, and its coming is better for you because it is everlasting, the continuity of which will not end until the day of judgment. And that second manifestation cannot come unless I depart. But when I depart, God will send that second manifestation for you, which shall always stay with you as promised by God in Braheen-e-Ahmadiyya. This is actually a reference to the words of Hazrat Promised Messiah Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, who then the questioner rather puts forward that the article then states that the Promised Messiah never mentioned the word Khilafat. Instead, he used the term second manifestation, which was to succeed after his demise. It then goes out to say that the group of individuals who established themselves in Lahore, the Anjuman, actually quote that this second manifestation actually doesn't mean Khilafat, it actually means this Anjuman. Can you please explain what is meant by the second manifestation and why it means Khilafat and not Anjuman? Jahangir Sahib, if I could come to you with, first of all, not least because it's someone from the USA, and perhaps I shouldn't always rely on Nazar Sahib to answer questions from the USA. Jahangir Sahib.
Actually, I think we should get this false concept out of the way very quickly, and it's easy to do so because it's very clear. The Anjuman, or the committee, the administrative committee, is something which was created by the Promised Messiah himself, ﷺ, during his lifetime. In this quote here, he is clearly saying that the second manifestation cannot come until I have departed. He said, when I go, then Allah will send it. So it's not the Anjuman then. And that's the end of the Anjuman as far as that's concerned. It's not the second manifestation. So the second manifestation has to be something else. Luckily for us, in the same book, just a few lines before the quotation you presented here, the Promised Messiah ﷺ is speaking exactly of this. He says that when the Prophet dies, what happens? The enemies of the Prophet are happy on two counts. One, their arch enemy is gone, so he's no more, the Prophet sent by God, whom they hate. And two, now his mission is going to come to an end, because when he's not here, who's going to carry on his good works, or his, according to them, his bad works? But then Allah sends the second manifestation to remove those, or to kill both of their joys, if you want. The things that they were saying before, that they were happy about. So God kills that in one go. By, what did he say then? The Prophet said, he said, by sending Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. This is what he did for the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Holy Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, when he passed away, his enemies were jubilant. Now the Prophet is gone, and now his mission and the religion of Islam will disappear. But then he says Abu Bakr Siddiq was raised up, and that was the second manifestation. And now we know Abu Bakr Siddiq was a Khalifa. What came after An-Nubuwah? It's Al-Khilafah. According to the hadith which As Al-Hanif Sahib just presented a few minutes ago, this is what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. He said it's called Al-Khilafatu ala minhaj al-Nubuwah. It's the Khilafat styled based on or styled according to prophethood. It's the one which comes after prophethood and which follows in its footsteps, which carries on the same good works as are done by the one who has the Nubuwah, who is the Nabi himself, who is the Prophet. So therefore, the second manifestation is Khilafat. It can be nothing else. But one thing is certain, it cannot be the committee or the Anjuman, because it was there before the promised Messiah departed.
Azhar Sahib, on a very practical basis, in just briefly picking up on this point, just putting even religion to one side, decisions made by committees normally are never decisions because there's no clarity over who the leader is. So whether it's in the context of professional life, in business life, the more successful organizations we often see are those who are clear in a single leader directing them.
That's right.
So from a practical point of view as well, the interpretation that these individuals make is somewhat without foundation.
A government in the world, not a single one, can be ruled by committee, because all of that internal conflict that's generated from the discussion alone. We have the classic joke that if you want to kill a program, just put it in committee. So exactly what they're saying about Khilafah. You want to kill Khilafah, put it in committee. Yeah. Because in the early era of Islam, when Khilafat was under attack by those insurgent elements amongst the Muslims at that time, and this is a whole another issue, but I'm not going to go into details of which, but it is well known that there was a group in the time of the first era of Khilafat who were attempting to overthrow the institution. When they succeeded in actually attempting to assassinate, jump into the home of the Caliph Hazrat Uthman, the third Khalifa after the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, may Allah be pleased with him, he gave them a stern warning as they entered his courtyard, drawing daggers about to take his life. He said, if you succeed in this attempt on my life, you will never be united. You will never be able to pray together, and you will never be able to face your common enemy. And we have seen since that time, the effect of his words are apparent to everyone right this day. The disunity is there because they no longer have that one leader. The lack of uniformity in the way they pray, or to pray behind one imam. Right now you go to Mecca and you'll see that there's groups praying in the holy house of Allah because they don't want to pray behind the other imam or the other sect. So the unity there is gone. And the common enemy. How long have we seen the issue of the Islamic world attempting to create these committees, the IOC, who are going to take up the issue of Palestine and completely failing in this because of the issue of Khilafat. So we know on a practical term, this never works by having a committee, a group, to judge and to administer the affairs of the Muslims. It has to be one person.
And I think that's quite clear, Mahmoud Saab, when he put his question forward. If you see the concept of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community on a worldwide basis, the use of the word Ahmadiyya Muslim community, it's wherever you are in the world, it's the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which is the community here, which is one which is heard about, which is seen about, and it's demonstrable by its success that it's had under the leadership of a Khalifa.
Yeah, the institution of Khilafat, reflects the unity of Allah. And this is obviously the basic principle of Islam. And by the grace of Allah, as you have said, 102 years of Khilafat, one Khalifa, and for all the Ahmadis throughout the whole entire world, one leader, and everything that he decides we go by. So this is the beauty and the blessings that we are reaping today of Khilafat that we have had amongst us.
On a small lighter note, I was reminded by the blessings of Muslim television Ahmadiyya as well that the opponents were actually looking at after the election of Khalifa Masih Khamis, Ayatollah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, as the fifth successor, and they were at the same time seeing Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmad, who was the fourth successor, Khalifa Masih Rabi, addressing some questions on MTA. And they said, we were having difficulty dealing with one, now we have, we'll never win now. So it's just as a light